Post. P-O-S-T. P-O-S-T. The cereals you like the most. The cereals made by Post. Take you to the secret mountain retreat of Captain Video, Master of Space, Hero of Science, Captain of the Video Rangers. Operating from his secret mountain headquarters on the planet Earth, Captain Video rallies men of goodwill and leads them against the forces of evil everywhere. As he rockets from planet to planet, let us follow the champion of justice, truth, and freedom throughout the universe.
We have some more trains in here. This ship room, we have the Edmund Fitzgerald in there, the Titanic, the HMS Victory, the Delta Queen. And again, we're going to kind of formalize that with some exhibits. And automobile space here, these are our, this is a 31 Model A, 31 Packard, 31 Cadillac, 1928 Fox Harris fire truck.
Yeah, he sold it. Unbelievable. Never saw anything like it.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out here today. You got to admit, if you walk through there, it's a lot to see. So we'll get to that in a little bit. All we've got is a few announcements. We're going to let her give us a spiel about the whole museum. But a couple things we want to talk about real quick. First thing is, 1 month from today, we're going to be going to the Ford Paquette plant down in Detroit. Next thing is, we did have a quick meeting amongst the chair group. The Mark Kirby was going to step down from the chair group because he's been quite busy with his aluminum V8 flathead. Gene Johnson got a large number of votes, and he'll be our new chairperson. Today's organization has been done by Jerry Matson. Thanks, Jerry.
I think we're going to have a great morning here for the afternoon. We have after we tour during the tour of the museum between 11:30 and 12, we're going to have pizzas delivered, and they'll be set up over here. And so we'll let you know when that comes in. Sheri's going to give a little bit of a talk on the museum itself.
I have newsletters here that I did a couple months ago that tell you a little bit about some of our grant making programs, and just a brochure if you want it, as well as my business card. So if you want, you can take one of these as well. I made some books this year that go over each of the different areas of the museum and highlight some of our special models. And for a $10 donation, you can have the book. The $10 will go to both museum improvements or grants to kids. We are called the Reid Family Foundation. Museum Bronze is part of the Reid Family Foundation, which is what's called a 501c3. That's a nonprofit organization. We are an operating foundation, and what makes us a little different is the fact that most operating foundations, such as the Ford Foundation or the Humane Society or any of those, they operate. They have an investment portfolio that they use to offset their operating expenses. Because we have a family business, Flexible Products Company, which manufactures rubber parts for the automotive. We have about 350 employees. We sell parts to GM, Ford, Chrysler, a little bit of Honda, a little bit of Toyota, and then we're also a tier 2. You'll hear some of the production. We've grown so much. We got some production out here now. Anyways, they're the ones who cover our operating expenses. My salary, my bookkeeper's salary, the building, electricity, and so on. So that leaves our investment portfolio available for us to make grants. And we make cash grants in the amount of about $100,000 a year into the community to kids, mostly kids and teachers, for hands-on education, experiential learning, mostly in the math and science areas, to encourage engineering, encourage the creativity, the innovation, and the curiosity that comes from that. So we have a teacher grant program here in Avondale, where teachers apply and they come up with projects, field trips, classroom innovation, and that kind of thing, and then we will grant the money for them to carry that out. We have some in Detroit. We have one with a charter school district, which is Bob Thompson's school district, which is an engineering STEM program. We have one in Clarkston. We fund a nonprofit art program that's bringing art classes back to the city of Detroit public schools. So those are some examples of our grants. My dad grew up in Detroit, and that's why he wants to put some grant money in Detroit. He went to Cooley High School. His senior year, he ended up moving to Ohio. His dad got a job near Columbus. So he ended up going to Ohio State, met my mom there. He graduated with an engineering degree, an industrial engineering degree, and he went to work for a company called Turnstead. It was a division of General Motors. Throughout his whole life, he had little side jobs that he had his little fingers into, and he was creating and trying out and failing and then trying again and then failing and then trying again, from furniture to casting materials to a pizza to, I mean, he did a little of everything. And the reason I tell you that is because one of his side jobs was casting bronze sculptures that he did commission work for the city of Detroit. So they would hire him. He was the casting expert. He worked with an artist named Paul Finney, and they did commission work. One of his pieces is actually down in front of the Book Cadillac Hotel of General Pulaski. But he did work on Belle Isle, did work for some of the hotels, public buildings, and that kind of thing, fountains. So as in the late 60s, his foundry got burned out by the riots. So he farmed out his equipment to Mexico, California, and then he donated some of it to the Cranbrook to start their school, their foundry. But as he became an avid collector, and he started collecting what you see out there, which took him about 30 years. Then when he started the foundation in 2001, he named the museum Bronze, which had been the name of his retail business that he closed down and then kept the collection. So that's the history of the name Museum Bronze. So what you see out here is very representative of his life. He collected automotive because he worked in the automotive. He collected steam engines because he was an engineer. He collected fire memorabilia because he was a volunteer fireman. Military because he was in the military. Ships because he built his first boat. We always, as a family, had a boat out on Lake St. Clair. He loved boating. I guess the one common theme that I like to describe to folks about what we have here is really related to hands-on craftsmanship. It's a tribute to those folks who make things and build things with their hands, including the art pieces you see. So that's kind of his tribute. He has a great respect and admiration and appreciation for those folks who make and build things with their hands. So basically we find ourselves in a transition here for the future of our museum and our foundation. Now with all the changes, having lost my mom and my dad's change in health and that kind of thing, the future of our family business is short term. We're thinking we're no longer gonna have our family business, we'll probably sell it within the next 18 months or so. Which means the one thing that my dad didn't really consider is the fact that since flexible products is what funds the museum, that we didn't create an investment portfolio large enough to run a museum. So we find ourselves in a position where if we want to carry on the future of the foundation, the Reid Family Foundation, we're going to have to liquidate the museum. How we do that is one of my biggest concerns. Because, again, with my overall goal being to preserve the foundation, I can't just donate it to, say, the Henry Ford, because then we don't really have a grant-making foundation to carry on into generations. So somehow I have to get cash out of that museum, 2/3 of our assets of which are in the models. So, and I'm trying to figure out how to do that. It could be an auction, which would be my worst nightmare, or we find a group, or I'm exploring whatever. I have no idea. I'm just exploring all kinds. I've been in conversation with the Henry Ford. I've been in conversation with foundation people across the state of Michigan. So in your networks, spread the word. We're going to eventually get the word out. And if you guys have any creative ideas, call me. So that's. But the whole idea is that we need to preserve and whoever acquires the museum, their money will be given away each year in grants, in an endowment into perpetuity. So there's no personal gain in this whatsoever, except knowing that I'm carrying on my dad's legacy. No financial gain. So anyway, so that's the conundrum we find ourselves in with the future of the foundation and museum. So 18 months is kind of our timeline.
Hey, Gene? Is this back therapy or what?
Yeah. And there's just a straight pipe on it.
So this car here, we acquired. We acquired from Tim Allen, and there's a great backstory on how we got it. Tim Allen used this in one of his episodes of Home Improvement when he raced against Bob Vila. I don't know if you know, familiar with the show. They always had this, kind of fun, competitive thing going on between the two of them. So anyways, after he was done filming that episode, and Tim Allen calls up my dad, when my dad was working, this was about, 15 years ago maybe? So he calls up my dad and he says, hey, I got a car to sell. It's an operating engine by Gary Connolly, wondering if you're interested in buying it. And my dad said, well, sure. How much are you asking for it? And Tim says, $12,000. And my dad goes, oh. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not approved to be able to spend that much money. So I'm going to have to go to the board, and I'm going to have to get approval. So if you give me a week, call me back, and I'll let you know. Well, if you know anything about my dad, his board is he, himself, and I. So anyway, sure enough, about a week later, Tim Allen calls him up and says, well, did you get board approval? And my dad says, well, yes, on a good note, but I was only approved for $2,000. And Tim says, I'll take it. Now I'll tell you a little story about these models here. These models were used in a training program to get kids interested in learning about engineering and getting kids interested in engineering in Germany in the mid-30s, maybe early 30s, by Hitler. It's fascinating to think that the story behind these models came from such a significant place in history. Now at the end, you'll see those cutaway engines. They actually will take one piston and they'll show you how they work, the intake, the exhaust, and you can crank them and see how they work.
Everybody hungry in here?
You want water or do you want?
Just another great day out with my dad. And the club, and the club, of course.
Having a great time here at Museum Bronze. There's more than just bronze here, believe me.
All right.
Great place.
Yeah, we're having a great time.
Yeah, we're here at the Museum Bronze, and I'm telling you, this is an amazing place to visit. We've seen a lot of really cool models and things, and it's a pretty good visit for somebody that's into the mechanical things.
Steve, what a great museum. I'm glad I got to come here today. It's awesome.
Fantastic. I'm really glad that I was here.
Very nice, very nice. Sorry to hear that it may get broke up.
This is a wonderful place to visit, not only for this club, but to bring your kids or grandkids. It's really outstanding.
This is a wonderful place to be at, and I enjoy looking at all the model cars here, even about the Tim Allen car. It's great, really amazing.
Displays are fantastic.
Great gig.
What is that?
I had a
very nice time.
This is quite an awesome place, and I think everyone here enjoyed it immensely.
No, this has been a great time. It really was interesting.
It was a great time. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of interesting things in here.
I've worked up the road for years. I never knew this place was even here.
Great tour. As usual, I never knew this place was even here. I really didn't, but it's amazing. It's sad to see that it has to go away in, what'd you say, 12 months, 18 months? Yeah, that's a shame. It really is. Ed Muir, if you're listening, it might be a good addition to your collection.
And I'm going to follow up on what Paul said. Yeah, this would be a great place, and you can make it a big portion of your collection there, and just take it out lock, stock, and barrel.
There have been several people who have been saying that you guys ought to buy this museum and add it to yours. So,
well, I don't know. We're a little tight on space right now, and even when we get done building our 12-car pole barn in the spring, that's just going to clear the cars out of the aisles. So to add all of this stuff, I think we'd have to build another mezzanine level over our existing collection.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Words of wisdom. There's good pizza up there.
There was. Yeah, I'd just like to say another fine outing and good friends and a good time, and it was nice that we could come to this collection.
Just glad to be here. Nice place. Interesting event. I'm a new member. Just signed up, so glad to be involved.
This was very nice.
One more great event for Vintage Motors. This is just a great group. It just keeps growing and growing. We're having a lot of fun.
We've had a great day today. We had a large number of people came out. Everybody seems to be really enjoying it. Fun day with Vintage Motors. Thank you.
And about the fourth time I've been to Museum Bronze. Love the place. Sorry to hear they may close, but hope we can maybe get back here once more before they do close. But a great collection, great tour.
Another fine event with a great club with a great bunch of guys.